Okay, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to the AGM. Can you see me? No, not really. I'm in this place. Okay. Good morning, everyone online and everybody in the room. Welcome to the November 25th meeting of the Halifax Harbour Rotary Club, which is our annual general meeting for our guests who are joining us. I don't have an agenda in front of me, and it's been a minute since I've done this. So the first thing up is land acknowledgement. Thank you. Oh my God, it's been a minute. So first of all, we would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on traditional unceded territory of Mi'kmaq. Up next is introduction of guests. That's right. Okay. So in the room, we don't have, oh no, we have Kevin Connors. Good morning, Kevin. Kevin's over there. He's off the screen, but rest assured he is here. I will also welcome Mark McGinnis, who I can see online. And I think I saw Marvin Rosario. Yes. And Quintina is also, oh, right. I missed that meeting. Sorry. Hi, Quintina. So welcome to our guests. Okay, now I'm going to pass it over to Valerie, who has a foundation minute. Hold on, Valerie. I'm going to turn up the sound. Okay, go for it.
Oh my goodness, I have to admit that I forgot my foundation minute because I chose the Rotary minute as it relates to AGMs. One of the most unique focus of Rotary is that leadership from top to bottom changes every year. Good leadership requires thought, planning, preparation, a willingness to try something new, not being bound by the past, and the confidence to take risk. Rotary must be renewed constantly at the club level to avoid stagnation, and at the international level to avoid retrogression. Our president, Barry Razin, says he learned more about leadership from Rotary than he did pursuing his MBA, or even as president of the hospital he ran for years. It takes more skill to lead volunteers, he insists. It's harder than leading employees. Rotary also gives us all the opportunity to practice public speaking. Many of us, when we started Rotary, couldn't make a speech to save our lives. However, now most of us are clearly comfortable addressing large crowds, and those of us who like to hog the mic, you know. There are other benefits to assuming leadership position in Rotary. The organization's leaders gain access to world-class training subsidized by Rotary that prepares them for their roles. As they ascend the ranks through the Rotary organization, they also expand their networks to include accomplished professionals from around the world, as well as neighbors who can benefit from a mutually beneficial relationship. If you're thinking of taking on a leadership role in Rotary, please do. There is so much more to learn in your Rotary. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Valerie. That was an excellently well-timed Rotary minute. We love it. Up next, we are going to have Happy Bucks, right? So I'm going to get Happy Bucks online first. So I'm going to go online first, and then we'll come back to the room, okay? Okay, do I see anyone online who wants? Tom Paul, your hand's up first.
Yeah, hi, everyone. Excuse me. You might tell from my voice that I'm not feeling very well. I'm happy because I've finished all my training after about 2.5 months or 3 months now. It's all done finally. And so I have about 3 weeks vacation. So naturally I am sick. So I'm going to be happy that I'm finishing my training, but hopefully a quick recovery. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Tom. I see Valerie and then Sally.
I think most of you know that I try to walk every day. I walk down on the waterfront, and I do a little bit of work with heart and stroke. I go to a lot of places and tell them that you can be a heavy person or a person with a lot of weight and still be healthy. So I have a goal of 2 million steps per year. And on Wednesday, November the 16th, I hit my 2 million step for 2022. So I was very, very excited to do that. So that's a $5 for me for Happy Bucks.
There was clapping in the room. Sally, bring it on in.
I'm happy that it is Shelterbox has been given some donations that mean that on Giving Tuesday, if you donate to Shelterbox via either the Giving Tuesday link, which takes you through to our Stock the Box link, or direct to the Stock the Box link, any donation you actually make on Tuesday will be matched dollar for dollar up to a total of 15,000. That's 15,000 from everybody, not from any individual. So if you donate $25, that will give somebody a solar light, then you will in fact be giving 2 families solar lights. So if you were thinking about donating via Giving Tuesday, if you're thinking about supporting Stock the Box, Tuesday is the day to do it. There should be another social media message going out Monday, please, social media fairies, and also another one going out on Tuesday. So all the links you need are on there, and I've also sent them out before. So thank you very much to everybody who has been supporting Shelterbox. It does mean the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Anyone else online? Seeing no hands, we are going to switch to the room. Pat had her hand up first. Pat, you're up.
Hey, we drove in from Lunenburg this morning, and as we were coming around the Rotary, the sunrise on the Northwest Arms was just breathtaking. So that made me really happy. And then I parked across from the Westin and I looked at the park, and there's this like illuminated tree in the middle of the park that just keeps changing colors. And I got even happier. And then I came in the Westin, and you want to talk about a nice, tastefully decorated hallway. It was just, so I am $5 happy.
You love it. All right.
Hi, everybody. I am humbled, I guess, to say that I have just been appointed to the board of the Rotary Foundation of Canada. And so I'm happy about that. And the reason I wanted to mention that is because the only reason that I'm able to have this role of being a leader is from the support that you get and the education that you get from Rotary, and from starting off as a club director and a club president and moving through the ranks. And it's taught me everything, really. I'm a physiotherapist by profession, but I have to say that Rotary is the thing that's got me to where I am, or helped me fulfill many of my dreams. So just, please today step up if you're thinking of being a director, because it's really worth it. Thank you.
So my happiness is very simple. It's just to be here in person. It's been a really long time, and it was just escalated, as Pat said, with this magnificent sunrise. And many of you will know that I've moved into an apartment. So I'm up on the 6th floor, and I have a nice, lovely view of the sun coming up. It was magnificent. So thank you all for making me happy today.
Else happy in the room? Oh, Louise is happy. No.
Yeah, well, Stella inspired me because I was delighted to see that Stella has been selected for the board of the foundation, and this week at the annual general meeting of Shelterbox Canada, apparently I was selected to do that. So we've got another national board piece. So this club is, again, disproportionately represented at zone, district, and beyond level. So these boards, the Foundation Canada and the Shelterbox board only has a couple of Rotarians. This isn't just a Rotarian driven thing. And I'm totally impressed by the professionalism of that board. So again, lots of opportunities for things to do beyond just here.
Fantastic. Thank you, Louisa, and congratulations on your position. Everyone's staying on message this morning of leadership within Rotary. Oh, sorry, I'm here now. I don't think we have anyone else. Everyone else is sad. Okay, so, pardon? Oh, they're happy, but just not happy enough to pay for it. Just happy and just cheap. There we go. Okay. So next we're going to, do we have time for any small business updates? Do we have any small business updates? Kevin is going to. So Kevin Connors from Dartmouth East. Yes, I got it. Okay, Kevin's gonna.
Good morning, and I bring you greetings from across the big water. Every year, our club does a hot Christmas dinner on Christmas Day, and we deliver those dinners to shut-ins and singles in the Dartmouth area. Last year, we served between 1 and 3 o'clock on Christmas Day. We served 330 hot meals to members, to less fortunate members of our community. This year, this will be our 21st year doing this. And as part of that, every year I used to come to the Halifax Club and sell Christmas cookies. This is how we finance our Christmas dinners. And these cookies are in a beautiful decorated can. They're shortbread with chocolate chunks, and they're delicious cookies. They sell for $15 per can. And if anybody is interested, and I know Bob saw me this morning and he immediately went for his wallet, right? And anybody is interested in buying a can or two, like I said, they're $15 a can, or this morning is special 2 for $30. Thank you very much.
What a steal of a deal.
Ashley,
Okay,
how do
so
we
they're
get them in Zoom land?
Kevin, how do you get them in Zoomland? Just read someone, so maybe we can have Tom Paul include the link in the Halifax Harbour Express, and then or your email in the Halifax Harbour Express this week, and then they can send you an email. So Tom, make note of that, and then we'll connect for Kevin's email if you don't have it.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Okay, and now Bob is going to come up.
Well, as a lot of you know, I'm involved in the Christmas hamper program, and we've called for volunteers to, if anyone wants to donate things for it. Now, we have to buy a lot of stuff. So if I don't hear by Monday, I'm going to go ahead and buy the rest of the stuff. There's been 3 people so far that have offered to donate stuff, and hopefully there'll be more over the next few days. Unless David's heard from more, I've heard from 3 people so far. So anyway, anything that you want to donate that's on the list, we'd appreciate it. It cuts down the cost of the club. Thank you very much.
Bob, a question. It's Stephen here on Zoomland. How do we get money to you or someone?
I don't know. Money, I guess you donated to the club because the club is funding the purchase of the goods that we buy.
So if we electronically send it to the club, somehow that will end up in your.
David's attention. David's head of the community services, so it'd be to his attention.
All right.
E-transfer.
Yep. Thank you.
Chris? I want the goods. Yeah. Well, give me a call and we can arrange it. Either I'll pick them up or someone can deliver them, whatever. Well, remember, we're talking about 40 hampers. So if, for example, someone wanted to donate, let's say beans, they could donate 5 tins or 10 tins or all 40 tins that we need. Yeah. Okay. So there are other things on the list. The list was sent out, so people should have a copy. Thank you.
Thank you. And just for people online, so that was if you are donating the physical goods, then get in touch with Bob. You can find his information on Club Runner. So log into Club Runner, find Robert Power. That will also be Bob. And you can get in touch with him to make the donations. Okay. I think we are good on business. Oh, hold on. Dave's coming up.
Hey, hi, morning. Just also want to clarify on the gift exchange, as it were, with the community. It is up to you if you want to give a gift. It is not compulsory in any way. Neither is it compulsory to put your name and a contact. What we thought, it would be nice for the community who are in receipt of this gift to at least know someone in the club. That's really what it was, to bring it closer. That was it. And then The other thing is that as Bob was saying, I just want to clarify as well that you don't have to give everything. You can, over time, just bring in 5 cans, 3 cans, something extra that you have that you don't need. This is just part of our connecting with the community, right? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to confirm with Tom because we're questioning it here in the room. Is it 1/3 of members we need for quorum this morning? Tom Paul?
Yes. 23.
Right, we're good. Okay, we were panicking that we needed a half plus 1. So we need 23, we're good. All right. So now I believe Jillian has a little presentation, so she's going to come up.
Good morning. Thank you, Ashley. Morning, everybody in the room and on Zoom land. It's a special moment. This is November, which is Foundation Month for the Rotary International calendar. And it is my pleasure today to make 2 presentations of something very special. The presentation of a Paul Harris Fellow is as a recognition is the Rotary Foundation's way of expressing its appreciation for a substantial contribution to its humanitarian and educational programs. It is named for our founder, Paul Harris, and we move closer to a world of peace and goodwill today as 2 of our members become Paul Harris Fellows. I'd like to invite those 2 members to come forward and be recognized. I'd like to invite Pat Garrison and Ashley Butt. It is because of gifts like yours that the Rotary Foundation is able to carry out an array of programs that achieve beneficial changes in our world, improve living conditions, increased food production, better education, wider availability of the treatment and rehabilitation of the sick and disabled, new channels for the flow of international understanding, and brighter hopes for peace. In becoming a Paul Harris Fellow, Ashley and Pat join a remarkable group of persons throughout the world, all recognized for their devotion to the ideal of goodwill, peace, and understanding. It's the goal of Rotarians the world over, and one that Ashley and Pat clearly share. Gives me great pleasure then to present you both with the emblems of appreciation given to Paul Harris Fellows, a certificate and a pin. Please wear the pin proudly. We congratulate you and we thank you for your commitment to the programs of the Rotary Foundation.
So I just want to add something briefly to that because you all had an email this week, and I think sometimes Rotary can be a bit confusing. A Paul Harris Fellow means that you've given a substantial contribution to the foundation, and we thank you so much for that. There is something called a Paul Harris Society, which is what you got the email about. And so that is when you give that substantial donation every year. And so if you, I think, did everybody receive an email from Duncan Conrad? Yes. And then there's going to be another one, which is a Polio Plus Society, which is just going to be $100 US a year. So I just don't want you to get confused. It's quite confusing, but every donation you give to the foundation, of course, is fabulous. And thank you very much. But I hope I just could clarify that for people a little bit. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I do want to publicly make a presentation, although she is not here at this time, but I wanted to take this moment at the AGM in front of a large audience to recognize one of our members. And it really while it is a recognition for one particular member, it is the efforts of many in our club. This is a recognition that has been given to at the zone level throughout Rotary throughout Canada and the Northeastern United States, where it is a recognition for Lori-Ann Jones. And I'll show it here. This is the recognition, and it reads for outstanding collaborative leadership to Lori-Ann Jones. It says District 7820, which is at the time, that's when it was for in recognition for her work with the district-wide Systemic Racism Task Force in 2020 to 2022. So many of us were involved with that task force, and Lori-Ann did take on a leadership role with it district-wide, and she has been recognized by the zone for those activities. So I'll be sure I get this to her personally, but I did want to make the public presentation to the club. Congratulations to Lori-Ann.
Oh, all right. Exciting club this morning. There you go. Okay, so up next, we are going into our election time season
Ashley, is there
party.
a chance to do the international toast?
There sure is. Now is the time for the international toast.
Oh, it's such a great international toast today. We are not your daddy's Rotary Club. On March 25th of 2018, the Rotary Club of Castro, San Francisco was chartered. It's the first, the Rotary Club of Castro celebrated its new official status as the first LBGTQQ Rotary Club in the world. The new club joins 8 other San Francisco Rotary clubs. Its initial support will go to 3 Castro-based nonprofits: Larkin Street Youth Services Limited, Lyric for Young LBGTQQ. If you're wondering about the double Q, it's queer and questioning. Asia and Pacific Islanders, and Open House, which helps LBGTQQ seniors. The president is Lytel Carter. President-elect is Michael Fasanella. They meet on Tuesdays of each month, and they meet predominantly on Zoom. When they were chartered, they were 11 members. They now stand at about 50, but it's not uncommon for them to have over 100 guests per meeting, because they are the only pure LBGTQQ club in Rotary International. The parent club was the Rotary Club of Castro Valley in San Francisco. The LBGTQQ club is based out of Chinatown in San Francisco. So we offer greetings to the Rotary Club of Castro, San Francisco.
San Francisco. Okay. Have I missed anything else? Okay. So now we are going to move into elections. I believe Clark is going to, unless Danielle, were you ready? This is here. All right. So we're going to pause for a minute while everyone in the room gets breakfast. And then Clark is going to come up and lead us through our elections.
I've gotten the job of running the election. Morning, Godfrey. And I just got it about 7 minutes ago. So, so we're going to go through this. Every year we do elections, and normally what we do, we start from the highest elected person or group and go down through until we get to directors. And that allows anybody that wants to be nominated but doesn't get to be president or vice president or treasurer to at least be there for the directors. Not easy to go back up, but it's easier to come back down. So in this case, we have the nominating committee has presented Godfrey as, and I never can get past last name. So Godfred is running for he's been our vice president this year. He is going to be nominated, or nominating board has nominated him as president. But I need to ask, is there any nominations from the floor? And I get to do this 3 times. Are there any nominations from the floor? And I'm looking back at I'm moving around. I don't know where the camera is. Any nominations from Zoom land? Number 3, any nominations from the floor? Hearing none. Godfred is by acclamation. At the present, then we go to vice president. The nominating committee has put forward Dave Calazar as a nomination, right? You must have accepted this, Dave, did you? You missed that memo? Are there any nominations from the floor for vice president 20? Don't forget, this job starts in July of 23, goes to 24. Any nominations from the floor? He didn't get the memo, actually? You didn't know this was going to happen? Okay. Any nominations from the floor? That's the 3rd time. Hearing none, then the vice president for the year 23-24 will be Dave Calazar. The next up is for secretary. And this year, Tom Paul has been the secretary, and he's reoffered, and the nominating committee puts him forward. So again, I'll ask for any nominations from the floor. Secretary. Any nominations from the floor? Brett put his hand up to move his hair away, and I thought, oh, good. He's but that's all. I just any nominations from the floor? Hearing none, then we will, by acclamation, secretary will be Thomas Paul. Do not have currently a nomination from the nominating committee for treasurer. So I'm looking for nominations from the floor for treasurer. Now, what happens is if we don't get one, then the current treasurer goes out through to July, and we'll have to, the board will then be in charge of appointing somebody coming in the future. Okay. So any nominations from the floor for treasurer?
Although I've not had an opportunity to ask her, I would like to nominate Kathleen if she's willing to serve.
Valerie, I did have the opportunity to ask Kathleen, and she said that she wouldn't do it on her own, but she would be a co-treasurer if somebody else stepped forward. I don't think I'm stepping out of line by saying that.
Okay, thanks.
Kathleen is on Zoom, so she can confirm that. Dav had a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if
Hassan's not. He's not willing to rerun. Okay.
And yeah, I said I would
Doesn't
assist someone in the transition and help them, whoever took over. I didn't go so far as to say co-chair, but I would be happy to help somebody, but I'm just not prepared yet to take it back again after several years, a few years ago. But thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Kathleen. So the question from Dav, Kathleen, is what would happen if somebody was helping you? That was the answer, Kathleen. Withdrawn. Kathleen certainly will work with Damien, but Damien will be the treasurer if that's Let's leave it and we'll talk about it and we'll have a chat with the two. The executive will appoint from, if we do not have, I've asked for nominations and have received two that have declined kind of. Any other nominations from the floor? Any other nominations from the floor? Hearing none, then we charge the executive to appoint a treasurer in the year coming forward. Currently, the past president automatically is Jillian, so we don't have to elect that. We're good there. We have a number of directors in second term. Don't have to elect those. I will state them. Second term, Mike Gibson, Alexandra Russell, Dave Calazar now moves up to his new job as vice president. Hank Van Leeuwen, and directors under 1-year term currently is Valerie Bobick. We were electing. So the nominating committee have offered up Valerie Bobick as one of the new members of the board of directors. We can elect that, but we've got a lot of room. So it's an acclamation basically, because we got a lot of room to add people. So Valerie Bobick will be a one term coming forward. Any 2-term. Okay, first term. This is her first year of the 2-year term. Any other nominations for directors at large? Directors at large. We're never short because we have the ability to go to something like 11 or 15. I don't remember the numbers. So we're never short. We can live with the 6 or 7, but if there's somebody that would like to step up and learn what's going on in the inner sanctums. 3 more, if we wish. Any nominations? Looking at, you can self-nominate, you can stick up your hand and we'll jump on you right away. Dave, you're already a member. Okay.
No, not gotten involved in shit.
Are you, okay, he's good idea. Transition into being a director and looking at the rest of it. Damien, will you accept the nomination, sir, for a director at large? Doesn't start until July, so you got lots of time to. Okay, so we've got Damien. Any other nominations? What's that? Say again. Oh, yeah. Mike. Quintina, you've been nominated as a potential director at large. Where are you? There you are. Are you interested? Would you accept that nomination? Dina, you're muted if you're trying to talk to us. I think she's drifted off to look after the kids. So until we get an acceptance, we won't be able to. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? We will check with Quintina. The board can, of course, ask her and director and deputize her, whatever it would be. That's it. That's the elections. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. All right, we're now moving into the next phase of our AGM. Just doing a quick time check. 8:05 yes, Assad is there. So I'm just queuing you up, Assad. This is your time to get ready.
or is it Ashley first? Sorry, what order? Assad is first. Okay. So Assad will be presenting the financials, and then following Assad, Ashley is going to do a presentation on, as is the tradition in AGM's, last Rotary year in a capsule. Assad?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Sure can.
Perfect. So I will just share my screen here. Let me know when you guys are able to see there. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So just before I start, I just wanted to start by reminding everyone. So this will be a picture of last year. So 2021, July 1st into June 30th, 2022. So I was not the treasurer at the time, but I've been deputized by Tom O'Hanley to take over and present on last year. So bear with me as I go through these, and if there's any questions that I'm not able to answer, I will definitely get back to you guys. So that was just my little plug there. So just to start, this is basically our financial timeline. So for the benefit of all the members on the line, on Zoom, any guests, and everybody in the room as well, basically our fiscal year, or our Rotary year, starts July 1st, 2021. We have our Rib Fest right in the beginning of the year. Then we had our Subaru raffle last December. And then we had our Mom's Day brunch in May of this year. So a quick update here, and I will get into more of the numbers later too, is so Rib Fest generated a profit, which is after all expenses, of about just under 21,000. The Subaru raffle generated just over 10,000, and then Mom's Day brunch generated about 15,700. So those three added together are what we use to fundraise, to give in the current year. So whatever we raise between July 1st, 2021, all the way to June 30th, 2022, that is what we have to give this year, which started on July 1st, 2022, all the way till June 30th, 2023. This is Rib Fest. This is Rib Fest from last year. So this would have been the Rib Fest that would have been conducted in 2021 and not 2022. I do have a quick picture of the 2022 Rib Fest as well that I'll get to at the very end, but this is a quick overview of how much we generated. So we made about 38,900 in revenue, and our expenses were about 18,000. And that comes back to that just a shade under 21,000 profit that I just spoke about earlier. I also don't know how long I have, so I'll go at as quick a pace as I can, because I know we only got 20 minutes in the entire meeting, and I know Ashley's has to go after me. So if I'm going too fast or too slow, just feel free to call me out, please.
You're doing good.
Okay, thank you. So this was our Subaru raffle. We didn't have a lot of expenses on this one. It was only about 10,000 expenses, made about 20,000 in revenue, and that generated a profit of just above 10,000. The Mom's Day brunch in May of this year, we made just a shade under 21,000 on that. Now this was from a variety of sources. We had a bunch of very wonderful sponsorships, which were about 10,000 of them. We had our food and auction, our 50-50, all that combined equals just under 21,000. So it was 20,855 for the revenue for Mom's Day Brunch 2022. And then our expenses were a total of 5,143. And as you could see here, so that generated a really solid profit of about 15,700. And again, all of these profits that I'm just mentioning, so the 10,700 from the raffle, this 15,700 here, and the just under 21,000 from RibFest from last year. All of these are going to be used up in the current year for giving. This is our balance sheet as at June 30th. You guys will notice the one big thing that definitely sticks out like a bit of a sore thumb is the prepaid expenses. I've made a bit of an effort just to show that it really is, it's not true expenses as at June 30th. It was money that we paid for RibFest that went out the door in fiscal 2023, but because we had expensed out money that was not at the time actually physically paid, we put that in as prepaid. And that's why it shows up as an asset. It was all dispersed post year end. That account now is down to basically nothing. So our total assets at June 30th, when the fiscal year ended, were about 165,000. Also, just to go back, actually, we have 3 bank accounts that we operate in the club. There's an operations account that was at about 35,000 at year end. This is where our day-to-day expenses come out of and also go into. So for example, if somebody were to send us an e-transfer, that's where that goes. The giving is where our charitable giving money goes out the door from. And then our fundraising is really where our large events, for example, RibFest and Mom's Day Brunch, or if we were to have another raffle, things like that, that's where that comes out of. It just keeps that picture a little bit separate, and we're able to see kind of how we're doing on each front. Typically, our fundraising account is the one that has the most money, because for this upcoming year, we're going to have to make sure, because as you can see, there's so many prepaid expenses for RibFest. We like to have a lot of money in that account because more expenses go out the door first before we start making any revenue. So not a lot of liabilities as at June 30th. Only we actually had a negative, but that's just because we had more HST that we'd actually paid on purchases that we'd made. So at that point in time, when we do our HST just in December this year, basically what we're going to have is a refund from the CRA for about $2,700. And then for our equity, we can see the surplus from previous years is basically all the revenues less expenses. So the profits, the current earnings, as far as the income statement is concerned, all those added together from previous years, that's the 127 club surplus. We made 40,000 net profit in the year, and that totals out to be 168, and the liabilities and equity add up to the total assets. Paul Harris. So we made about $2,200. There were quite a few donations as well. There was a club contribution, which we put in every single year. And we had a few expenses go out the door just for things like printing and food and beverage, etc. And that almost equaled out, but we made about $400 from the Paul Harris ceremony in 2022. This is our charitable giving picture for what was budgeted and the actual. So as we can see, the biggest difference was really youth, and I was leading youth last year, and I can speak a little bit on that. Really, we had expected to do a lot more than we were able to. So, there was a little bit more budgeted than we were able to spend. So that was really what made up for the difference there. Local was budgeted to spend about 13,000. The actual was about 7, but then we also gave about $5,000 just earlier this year for the Ukraine disaster relief. And then again, the big difference between the charitable giving budgeted and the actual came from youth not spending the entire money that it expected to do. Now this is RibFest 2022. I really tried to fit it all into one slide, but I wasn't able to, so please bear with me. This is the revenue that we made. I know it looks like a massive number, but this is inclusive of all the floats that we have. So you'll see that it does balance out. It's not true $118,000 of revenue. The expenses are on this side here. So as I mentioned, it does balance out quite a bit. If anything, it goes into the red a little bit. So all said and done, all the expenses out the door. RibFest closed at, as where we stand today, and it is showing a net loss of $4,600. However, we are due to receive $10,000 in sponsorship from Subaru. So that is going to add to that, and we will finish the year at roughly around that 5,000 profit area, or $5,500 profit once that comes in. Just for context, that came in February of 2022 for last year. So it's, you know, we are expecting to get it. It's hopefully it'll be relatively soon, but we are expecting to get it. Once that comes in, our RibFest will be a little bit better. Definitely not what we've seen in prior years. However, we're fingers crossed it'll be really good moving forward as well. But that would be the RibFest 2022 picture. So this would have been the one that was just conducted this past summer. Club operations. This is a lot more true to budget because typically we know roughly what we're going to be able to do in terms of our club operations. So we know roughly what we're going to make from members from their dues. We know roughly what we're going to be able to do from internal any fundraisers. Happy Bucks we typically used last year's as a proxy for current year budgeting. And then any internal fundraising we add together. So relatively close to budget, about $18,000 in budgeted club operations from 2021, 2022. And then the actual was about 17,274. And then our club operations expenses, when we budget it to be break even. So basically what we say is whatever we make is what we spend internally. We ended up making a little bit more than we were able to spend. That was primarily just because we were anticipating some merger expenses. We also used to do a financial statement review. So we used to get our financial statements reviewed by a firm locally. We didn't get that done in a COVID year. There really wasn't a whole lot happening either. RibFest used to be, it had been a massive enterprise. I mean, we're talking almost $250,000 at one point. So because of that, the idea was that we could get our financial statements reviewed. That didn't actually happen just because of the way expenses were. So our expenses were a little bit short of what we budgeted, which was great because it generated a little bit more net income for us, which was about $4,200. And that's the picture of 2022, 2021, 2022. Again, basically the money that we generated last year is going to be used this year, and any money that we generate from fundraisers, etc., this year in 2022, 2023 is going to be used in 2023, 2024. So hopefully I didn't take up too much of you guys' time. If you have any questions, please feel free to either reach out now or later, or at any point you can let me know.
Thank you, Assad. So we're going to give a couple minutes for questions if anyone has questions. We'll take questions on last year first, and then I will provide a little bit of context to RibFest just so that we have some more context, because I know that's a scary number for everybody. So do we have any questions about the 2021, and that is RibFest is in this fiscal year. So it's not part of last year. So that's why we're going with last year first. Does anybody have any questions online or in person about the financials?
Ashley. I have a question, if you can hear me.
Yep, sure can.
Okay, thank you. So this is kind of a question that's probably hybrid posed to the fundraising committee and I guess it's also a budgetary question. And forgive me if this has been tossed around at committee meetings or at a board meeting that maybe I missed, but just an observation that I have. It's kind of a last year and a this year question. So I noted, if I read this correctly, that we netted or our profit from the RibFest 2 years ago, which was the drive delivery RibFest, was about 20 grand. Do I have that right?
So that would have been last year.
Right.
Yeah.
and the forthcoming profit that we think we're going to have, we're going to land at about 4 or 5K positive, right? For a profit for the one that we just did.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess the question that I have, and again, maybe it's been discussed. I'm a big believer in the energy and the vibe and the presence and the community engagement that the in-person Rib Fest delivers. But but financially, we were more successful with the drive delivery model. If you go by money alone, is that something we would consider to return to that, or I'm just throwing it out there?
Oh, I can take this one, Assad. So we're already in RibFest 2022. So the RibFest the year before, when it was virtual, it was a COVID thing. We raised money because we didn't have as many expenses. We didn't sell as many meals. We didn't have as many expenses, but we still had sponsorship. So it's like Mother's Day brunch. That's where the money is made. It's in the sponsorship. We don't think it would be successful anymore. But like, we could still potentially make the sponsorship, but it's not going to be like someone will come and start doing that festival if we don't keep it up, because it's a great festival. For context for this year, so looking at that $6,000 or $550, $400 or whatever it is profit, when we're looking at that, so we have to remember it's the first year post-COVID. We did see almost 60,000 people come to RibFest, which I think our high on the Halifax side was about 80,000. So we're not super down in numbers. The thing is we make a lot of our money on selling drinks, alcoholic drinks. People who come to it on the Halifax side will come down, have some ribs, have a few drinks before they go out. We're not getting that on the Dartmouth side. It's more of a family event, which is nice. It was a great atmosphere. We had a great time, but that does eat into our profits. The fact that people are not coming down and having a couple of drinks before going out simply because it's on the other side of the water. The other thing is that we started out with RibFest this year. So a lot of our supplier expenses went up. Electricity, security, the cost of everything basically went up. We all know we've been through this pandemic together. We know what's going on. But we also we've never paid for the site here on Salter Block. We paid $12,000 to be at Alderney Landing. We've never paid for waste. We paid $3,000 or $3,500, I think, for waste this year. We had 2 less trucks because of the way we set up Alderney Landing. So that's $9,000 that we didn't make from trucks coming in. So that's $25,000 less that we start just by opening the doors that we started out with. So those were expenses. So let's say we had it on the Halifax side, all other things being equal, people not drinking as much, that would have been a big difference in numbers, that $25,000. Okay. So that's a little bit of context as to why that number looks different. Now, that being said, a lot of people like the Dartmouth side. The RibFest committee is looking at, if we're going to keep having it there, we need to figure out how to get more money. One of the things we're looking at is we need to apply for city provincial grants for things like that, because the city loved having us on the Dartmouth side. They were raving about, oh, it's the biggest festival in Dartmouth, right? So if they want us there, they're going to have to help us stay there, because otherwise we need to move somewhere that we're going to be more profitable. It is a fundraiser. It is an insane amount of work for the committee. I mean, there's 8 of us. We lost a couple members this year, so let's say 6 at this point in time, members on the committee. We meet every month from August until November. We're currently meeting bi-weekly. Come April, we're meeting weekly. So that's an hour a week, plus all the other time that we put into it when we're not at meetings, and then we're there 18 hours a day. So it's a lot of time for that small committee to be putting in to come up with a $5,000 profit. That's like a cent an hour, let's say. That's not really, I didn't work out the numbers. But then there's also all of your volunteer hours, because everybody has to help out at RibFest. That's we run on volunteers. So there's a lot of things that we're reevaluating this year. But those numbers, that's where they are. We can't change last year, but we can figure out how to do it differently. If anybody wants to help looking at grants, if you have an idea for the committee, if you want to chat about what it might be like to be on the committee, then by all means reach out. Is that my 5-minute warning? Okay. Anyway, that's where it stands. Does that answer your question, Hank? Good. Okay. Paul Radford has a question. So Paul Radford is asking, why do we pay for garbage and things like that on the Dartmouth side and we didn't on the Halifax side? So Develop Nova Scotia was a sponsor on the Halifax side. Develop Nova Scotia didn't charge us for salt or block, and they paid for the waste. They paid for the removal of the waste. So that's why, but the city owns Alderney Landing, but it's contracted out to the Alderney Landing Association, thank you, Chris, who run it. They're the ones who charge the fee and all of that kind of stuff. So we're trying to figure out, okay, could we not have that fee? Because if Alderney Landing runs a fundraiser, they don't charge themselves the fee. We're a fundraiser. Why are we paying similar to what a concert would pay to go there? Right? So these are all, it's all considerations, but that's why. It's because we don't have Develop Nova Scotia, because they don't own that property. It's contracted out to a for-profit business. Oh, and Develop Nova Scotia doesn't really exist anymore, which I didn't know that part. So thank you, Chris. Does that answer your question, Paul? Does sound like there should be room for a grant. Who wants to write a grant for us? Oh, Valerie has also offered to help with the grant writing. Love it. Thank you. Okay. Paul and Valerie are helping with the grant writing. We love it. Any other questions on the finances? Excellent report, Stella says. So great job, Assad. Okay, and so since I now have 3 minutes left, I'm not even going to open my oh, Chris. Yes. So Chris is asking if we're not generating as much revenue in drinks on the Dartmouth side, how are we addressing that? And that is a great question. If we're staying on the Dartmouth side, like, we don't want to encourage people to come and drink. Like, we don't want it to be a drinking event. Ribfest has never been a drinking event. It's always been a family event. It's just where it was in Halifax and the proximity to the bars, the restaurants, that kind of thing. We had that to our advantage. It is much more of a family event in Dartmouth. It is much more of a diverse family event in Dartmouth. But we're trying to, if we can make up the difference in potentially grants and sponsorships, then that's something that we're going to look at least in the short term. What it looks like long term, TBD. Oh, 1 second, guys, online. So what Clark is saying for everybody online is that we also didn't have as much in sponsorship this year because post-COVID, people were worried about the Dartmouth side. They just didn't come in the same way that they have in the past. So whereas normally we would make enough in sponsorship to cover a lot of our expenses, sponsorship and vendors is where we cover our expenses before we open the doors. We had less trucks, we had less sponsorship, and we had less of the local vendors on site this year, which you probably noticed if you were there. So those things also, they led to us not having that extra money in advance. Now that we've had a really good event on the Dartmouth side, We don't think that will be the case this year. We think people will go, oh, Rib Fest saw 60,000 people. I'm ready to come in as a sponsor or a vendor. Where Jerry's already figured out how to get 7 trucks back on the site again. So we're going to have those extra 2 trucks back. So we're looking at it. It's the first year. I mean, we would have hoped to make more on the first year back, but we made some, so that's good. I was terrified when I first saw that negative number, and then we realized that this was Subaru sponsorship money hadn't come in. So that calms me down a little bit, but that's kind of where those numbers are. I am realizing it's 8:30. So we are going to stop there. I think that gives us a good overview of last year and the finances last year. I guess this was AGM is a reflection on the last year. So thank you to everybody who's a member of the club now, who was a member of the club then. Thank you to everybody, because it was our first year as a merge club. We turned into a peace builder club. We started getting back to in-person meetings. There was a lot of things going on last year, and we did really well. So thank you to everybody. And I'm going to shut this meeting down because it's 8:31. So Rotary around the world. Everybody online. Bye.